6 minutes, so welcome.
All right, thanks for having me, everyone. I'm very excited to share a little bit about what we do. It's a very, very exciting program helping a lot of families. So I'm going to get right into it. We were asked to really focus on the unique characteristics of being the first of a franchise in an area. So that's what I'm kind of build my presentation around. First thing that's unique is we do have a pretty large market with little to no competition, which of course is nice. So let me tell you a little bit about the market, just some stats to kind of set this up. Back in 1980, this was the autism rate, approximately. 2012, it had jumped to this.
Oh.
Interesting stat here, look at that. At the end, that might be a question you might want to ask me about. I can explain why we believe it's higher in Silicon Valley. The ADHD rates are 1 in 9 now. And last year, it was estimated that for all the children born in 2014, 1 in 4 of them will develop some type of neurobehavioral disorder eventually, whether it's ADHD, learning disabilities, autism, OCD, blah, blah, blah. So the rates are spiking, becoming more of an issue. In fact, I'm going to share with you a prediction from Dr. Stephanie Seneff, senior researcher at MIT. Possible autism rates by 2025. Look at this.
What?
Yeah. Now what will that do to our society? I mean, education and healthcare system just won't be able to handle it. So we believe we have solutions for the future as well. All right, second unique characteristic is there is lots of curiosity out there. People like to hear about what we do. So let me tell you. We're a specialized learning center that addresses the root cause of these issues, whether they're social, emotional, behavioral, or academic. It's done naturally without medication. Now, many of our students across the country, and of course here, they don't have any type of diagnosis. They don't need one to work with us. But if they do have a diagnosis, these are the types of diagnoses that we see tremendous changes in these kids' lives. And there's lots of other ones that aren't quite as well known, but we see a lot of help with. Number 3. One of the cons of being new in the area is we definitely have to spend a lot more time and money educating folks about what we do. So we have to do a lot of marketing. Our marketing, for example, TV and radio, our spots have to be longer so we can really kind of tell a story about what we do. And we're out in the community doing lots of workshops. I do free workshops for any groups that will listen because, again, not only do we believe we know how to help kids with these issues, but how to start bringing these numbers down in the future. So we love to go out and share how we can start doing that because ultimately we've got to start preventing these issues. All right, so how do we do what we do for these kids that have these struggles? Well, we believe we understand the root cause, and that is this. We believe that these children have an imbalanced brain. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means this. Best way to think of it would be to think of buying a brand new computer today. You take it home, try to hook it up with your 20-year-old computer and have them work together. What's going to happen? Nothing, right?
Slow bus.
Yeah, they just can't. They can work individually, but they can't work together. And that's literally what the research is showing in the brains of these children and a lot of adults, by the way, we're walking around with these too, to some degree. The two sides of the brain just aren't communicating properly. And that causes a whole breakdown in their life because the left and the right hemisphere in humans do completely different jobs. So we correct the imbalance, and here's how we do it. We're going to assess a child's sensory, motor, and cognitive abilities to identify which is that slower side overall. The students then come to us 3 times a week for an hour, and they participate in a customized program of movement, sensory, and cognitive activities, but the key is everything they're doing is only stimulating that weaker side. And I can explain later if you want to know how we stimulate just that weaker side. It's very interesting. Now over time, a little bit like helping lazy eye. What do you do for lazy eye? Patch the good eye, force that weak eye to work and work and work till it catches up. We're doing the same thing. Over time, that less mature side speeds up, as the two sides begin to communicate properly, the symptoms literally start to melt away, and in some cases disappear completely. All right, unique characteristics of being the first in a franchise in the area, number 4. A lot of skepticism out there because we haven't established ourselves as credible. So we do have, this was very interesting to help with that a couple summers ago. First independent clinical trial published in a peer-reviewed medical journal. Fancy title where it was published. I'll let you read this to yourself. Check out this next stat. This is what blew my mind when I first was looking into the program. 81% improved so much in this 3 months they didn't even meet the diagnostic criteria of ADHD anymore. And their academics really started to shoot up. 60% 2 grade levels in 3 months in multiple categories, 35% 4 grade levels in multiple categories. So it's just real clear indication that we're just seeing a much better wired brain, that these children can just do things they literally couldn't do before. All right, and last unique characteristic is that for my wife and I, it's a very highly rewarding thing to be involved in. We're really a new source of hope for these struggling kids and their families. The number one way the brain likes to learn things is through stories. So let me tell you a quick story about Alex. He came to us diagnosed Asperger's, very closed in on himself, no eye contact. You've probably seen these kids around. Very little interaction with others, didn't know how to socially connect with other people, huge emotional meltdowns. Believe it or not, he couldn't sleep through the night. He would sleep 4 or 5 hours a night, and then he's up roaming the house, waking up the family. Imbalanced brain throws off so much about us, including digestion. This kid was 11 years old, still wearing pull-up diapers for bowel accidents every day his mother had to deal with. He did 6 months of stimulation with us, and that by month 2 to 3, Mom was reporting that he was sleeping like a baby, no more pull-ups. Of course, his social skills very poor, had a very, very poor relationship with his brother. His brother basically just avoided him, his younger brother. Around month 4 to 5, his brother came and told his mother that for the very first time he felt like he had a brother. Wow. Because they were now interacting, that his social skills came online, eye contact, starting to make friends, the emotional meltdowns completely dropping away, and his brother felt like he really was able to relate to his brother for the first time, like a real brother, and enjoy that kind of relationship. Okay, so if you're interested, we are going to raffle. I have a little raffle. There's a little box back there. You can fill out a little raffle form. We're going to do 1 free assessment and a copy of the book that explains the whole program. This is how I came across it, just by accident, reading Disconnected Kids. The first 80 pages will blow your mind, I promise you. And then we're also going to raffle off 5 other half-price assessments and a book as well if you're interested in that. Now you can use it yourself or pass it off to someone else. These are some questions you may want to ask in our question time, just because these are things that inevitably come up that people want to know about. I love to answer these questions. But if we don't get to these, I do these free workshops across the area for any groups that will listen, churches, PTAs, schools. Because again, going back to that autism prediction, 2025, if we don't spread the word as to how to start bringing these numbers down as a society, we're going to be in big trouble.
All right. That's very compelling. We're going to have to get into our time a little bit. Let's get right to the questions, Brad.
Very exciting. Can you talk a little bit about what the business plan is locally? Are you planning? I mean, it sounds like it's a physically location-based thing. Are you planning on? Obviously, you can only grow that location. Are you planning on expanding those locations? Does the franchise allow you sort of guaranteed rights on an area? Do you have competition in franchises? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're the first center here in South Side. we're going to either open another center, we believe the population is enough to open another center, or we may just expand the site that we're at. It's very centrally located for the whole area down at Fairfield Shopping Center, Kempsville area, Virginia Beach. So we really can reach, you know, the east to Virginia Beach and the west to Chesapeake and Suffolk. We have people coming from North Carolina and Williamsburg. I mean, that's how powerful the program is. But there is room to open a center in the peninsula as well. We're not really that interested in doing that. So yeah, there's opportunity there.
Okay, great.
So what drew you and your wife to this? I mean, you
Sure.
said you've seen the book, and what are your backgrounds?
So I, elementary teacher for 22 years. So I worked with thousands of struggling kids. My wife, early childhood educator as well. Did classroom elementary teacher first 12. Then I got an itch to do something different, switched to elementary physical education. And about 3 years into that, I had a colleague tell me to read a book called Spark on the effect of cardiovascular exercise and movement on human brain function and development. Completely captured my interest. So I started reading all these different books on new brain research, etc. Started experimenting with it at my school, and as a result of that, I was actually the 2012 Teacher of the Year for this whole region of Virginia, one of 8 regions of Virginia. And in the course of reading these books, I came across this by accident on Amazon. Highly skeptical. I mean, there are people in there saying my child used to have ADHD, learning disabilities, autism. And I'm like, come on. I've never seen anything that can touch this stuff, fundamentally. And but when I read the book, what blew my mind was everything in it completely fit with all the other brain research I had been reading. It wasn't off in left field somewhere. So I got extremely excited. And the more we looked into it, the more excited we got. Dr. Malillo, when we met him, he's like, hey, have you thought of opening your franchise? One in your area. I said, well, not until right now. But maybe, and here we are. And we've been open a year and a half. I'm telling you, the changes in these kids are phenomenal. And it's all of them.
And the reason we tried is because I tried the program myself. Brain Mountain's going to work for kids from 3 years old to 9 years old. The franchise itself is meant to be for kids, but the program itself, you can work for adults.
Even adults. And we're going to come out with a program for adults.
So I was assessed, and I started the program, and it really changed my life.
Yeah.
My depression and anxiety completely gone.
I did it too as an owner, and I saw big changes in my life as well.
And
We
that's
can talk
why
about
we
that
decided
later.
Yeah.
to do it.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I haven't got your name yet. What's your name?
Oh, Walt, I'm sorry.
Walt, very
Yeah.
nice to meet
You
you.
said that this is a franchise,
Uh-huh.
so where does this come from? And how, if someone in the room wanted to get into this
Mhm.
franchise, how would you do that?
Yeah, so we could put you in contact with the franchise office, and they'll take it from there. There's over 70 centers across the country now. As a company, it's been Brain Balance for 8 years. But prior to that, about 15 years prior to that, the creator of it, Dr. Malillo, had his own center in Long Island working with these kids, experimenting with ways of stimulating these weak areas to bring that full brain integration. And he's brilliant. He's probably one of the top minds in the world right now on neurobehavioral disorders in kids, working research with Harvard Medical School and a place over in Israel. But yeah, I mean, we could easily put you in touch with
Did I see yes,
corporate
Beth?
office.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beth.
So the results, are they lasting, or is there work that has to happen to maintain?
Yeah, this is what's awesome. Once we balance a brain, it's not like muscle growth where, you know, you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you stop working out, and 6 months later you look like me. Neurological growth is permanent. So provided there's a couple groundwork things, we have to give our kids a good brain-friendly home environment, and we're educating our families all throughout of how to do that, so that needs to be maintained. So we're looking at lots of physical activity, limiting screen time, good nutrition. But if those things are maintained and we work to get rid of something called primitive reflexes that all babies are born with and should be turned off by age 1, most of our kids have tons of these still turned on, which is limiting neural development past that age of 1. If we work to get rid of those, the struggles just don't come back.
Okay, yes.
So at the centers, what kind of staffing do you have? Is it just the two of you, or what's the credentialing like?
Yeah, so our staff doesn't necessarily have to have any particular credentials. So my wife and I, and we have one other full-time person that we kind of manage the center, and then we have assessors that do these assessments. Then we have coaches that take the kids through these stations. When they're there for an hour, they're doing these stations. Now, we originally looked for folks who had some educational background or maybe some occupational physical therapy background. What we found was they actually weren't the best coaches because they came with their own idea in their mind of what it takes to improve a child's life, and they weren't very teachable. So now what we look for are folks who are great with kids, can motivate them, connect with them, build a rapport, and that are going to be teachable to learn what we do, because basically we teach them to do exactly what Dr. Melillo did at his center. The program itself is not flexible. It is for individual kids, but the way we do the stimulation, very set. So we get the same results he used to get. So as long as they're teachable and they're good with kids, then they're great coaches.
And we monitor coaches daily and kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's all about charts and
Oh yeah,
numbers.
we monitor. It's very data driven. We're taking scores on all the activities they do, so we expect to see certain patterns of growth in different areas of the brain, and so we're constantly monitoring the data, making sure and tweaking the program if we need to.
I see some hands with Beth and Brett, and then Susan. And then never happens, doesn't it?
How do you get, where do you get most of your customers today? Like referrals, like through customer referrals, or through medical centers, or
Sure.
doctors, private doctor offices? And are you looking to change that, or how do you see to improve that as you grow your business?
Yeah. So yeah, we're starting to get more referrals. You know, again, it's a matter of educating and building a reputation that, hey, this isn't some crazy theory, that it really is based on hard science and it really works. So that's really starting to happen now. We're getting a lot more parents coming in saying, yeah, we want to come. We saw you open up a year ago, but now we know somebody that's tried it and they got great results. So that's starting to increase. We know from other centers around the country that really starts to pick up around year 2 and 3. And then actually the marketing money can be reduced. Right now it's a lot of marketing, a lot of TV, radio, pretty much TV, radio, internet, Facebook, search engine stuff, yeah.
But not through formal medical channels?
Not too much. We're starting to have some pediatricians and people calling us and looking into it. A lot of psychologists, counselors, people at schools, especially teachers, as they're seeing these kids transform throughout their year, going from struggling to being average to above average learners and behavior and emotional control at school. They're like, what are you guys doing? We go to meet with all our students' teachers. We go out to the school to meet with them to partner up and so show them a little bit about what we do. So that really helps with the marketing. And
I'm just going to interject. My
Yeah.
wife is a kindergarten assistant, and she's been doing it for several years, and she's seeing more and more kids that are meeting this.
I'm
And
telling
it's
you.
basically like they're in the regular school system. So if they have a specialized school system that's at least as good or better that focuses on that, that seems like a pretty good win. We have here, and then Troy, and then Patrick, and then Tim. Susan, right? Is that right? Yes.
Right. So why is the autism rate so high?
I was hoping someone was going to ask that. Okay, so
1 and 2 is what's in my mind.
yeah, 1 and 2, that's scary, folks. I mean, literally, who's going to take care of those
But
kids?
what's the answer to the question?
Okay, yeah. So, a little groundwork. There's a new study of genetics called epigenetics that teaches us that it's about 15 years old. It has shown us that our lifestyle and environment can turn our genes off. Now think about the dramatic changes in our lifestyle and environment in the last 100 years compared to what we did as humans prior to that. It's astounding. It's unprecedented. Now once these genes are turned off, unfortunately they can be passed on in the off position for up to 11 generations. So what we believe has been going on is for the last 100 years as our lifestyle's been changing, and I'll share with you the 5 biggest things that society-wide are turning these genes off. Number 1, I mentioned how important physical activity is to building the brain. That's the number 1 builder of the brain. How active are we now compared to what we used to be as humans? Sedentary lifestyle is a train wreck for our neurology. Okay, so number 1, sedentary lifestyle. Number 2, stress turns off our genes. Number 3, poor nutrition. Number 4, toxins in the environment. That's a big one. And number 5, too much screen time. Limited amounts, fine. Too much screen time, not good for our brains. So think about that in the last 100 years. So it started 100 years ago, slowly turning off some of these genes in our population. but because they're getting passed on every generation, it's been snowballing now for 100 years or more. So this is why we believe we see them just spiking out of control right now, because it's kind of this exponential growth thing. More and more of our kids are being born with more brain-building genes turned off, which is resulting in large areas of their brain not wiring up properly, this disconnect left to right, and just throws their whole life off.
So what about Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley. Okay, so think about Silicon Valley. We all know that's the tech mecca, right? Okay, what type of brains, what type of people do you think are being drawn there to work there?
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, right? And
Left brain.
Yeah.
very strong left brain logical linear thinkers, engineers, techies, right? Which is great, but they tend to be strong left and very often weaker right, okay? Now, though they're all moving to one area and they're living together, they're meeting, they're falling in love, and they're having kids. Two strong left hemispheres with two weak rights, the chances of their child having a profound right hemisphere weakness, which is what we believe autism is, a very profound right hemisphere weakness that has also caused weaknesses in the left, the chances of that are much, much greater. They're seeing the same higher rates in a big tech mecca over in Europe. It's spiking compared to the rest of the population.
We're only going to have time for the last two questions that are out there. I think it was Tim and then Patrick. Is that, or no, sorry, Troy. Troy. My bad. Go ahead, please.
Okay. What are the costs per child, just roughly? And does insurance pick up any of that? Or
No insurance. Unfortunately, we're an educational center, not medical. It's going to fluctuate. The vast majority of children, believe it or not, only need 3 to 9 months of our program to completely bounce their brain and give them full potential for the rest of their life. First 3-month session is between $5,500 and $6,500. Second, additional sessions are then between $4,000 and $6,000. Yeah.
Does that price point go down once you get more customers in?
No. No, that's fixed.
Was it weird?
Yeah, I get that line.
Got it. Tim?
So you mentioned that you guys partner with the teachers as you get your students in. My mom being a principal teacher for many years, yourself being a teacher for many years. What are you guys doing to partner with the school systems to identify children who need to go into this program? And then what is your success rate with this program?
Okay. Yeah, so partnering with the school systems to identify them, that's a little bit tough, because really we would have to have a school system, a school board that would first buy into what we do and then agree to have us partner up to assess children.
Bureaucratic.
Yeah. So that's going to come down the road. I believe eventually the money is out there for every child to have their brain balanced, and it's called special education funds. $15,000 to $100,000 per year per special ed child is what it costs our school systems, depending on the state. So eventually, when a superintendent says, "Hey, we can not only save a ton of money, billions of dollars over the lifespan of these kids, but we can also get all our kids having a brain that can be really successful learners and productive members of society," that's going to happen eventually, but it's just going to take time. Yeah, and success rates, you saw that ADHD study. I mean, just incredibly high. We really don't see any of our students not improve. There's no guarantee that an autistic child will get off the spectrum, but many of our autistic children do. And just it's just life-transforming stuff. I invite you to come visit our center, and we'll give you a tour, show you how we do this stimulation. Very fascinating. My workshops that I do, not about brain balance, really just about general brain theory. What can we all be doing? We need to build into our lifestyle to start bringing these risk factors down and bring the numbers
For
down.
brain balance.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, first of all, of course, just let people know, anyone you know, family, friends that are struggling with a child that has challenges, that there really is fundamental hope to literally change their child's ability to function in the world and really open up their full potential. So that would be number one. Number two, if you know of any groups that might like to have me come do my workshop. Again, what I really focus on is what do all human brains need to wire up properly, and what can we do to build certain things into our daily routine to start bringing these numbers down. just hook me up with groups where we can spread this word, because we gotta bring these numbers.
And it's free. There were any
My workshops, I do them for
Thank you very much, Tom.